everybody, Gina DeLuca here. Alright, today I am pulling some paints out of the vault before I cannot use them any longer. I love these paints. Some of them have been discontinued and so I have hesitated using them, but what's the point in just letting them dry up in the bottle? So, gonna use those up. So you may or may not be able to find some of these paints. Sorry about that. It's going to be a spiral straight pour today. The colors that we are using, this base coat color here is a mixture of Amsterdam and Titanium White, a little bit of Liquitex Basics Prussian Blue, and some TriArt Cobalt Teal. Prussian Blue on its own is not great for a straight pour, but there's only a little bit in there. It is mostly the Titanium White, so hopefully it will give me some kind of reaction. But also these paints are pretty old, so maybe they won't react, maybe they will. The colors will look pretty together regardless, and so that's what's happening with that. This is Art Mindz Mysterious, one of my favorite colors. I don't think you can get this anymore, but you can create this color by mixing Deco Art, Americana Decor Metallics, Sapphire, and Emerald. Just an FYI. This is the Art Mindz DIY in Malibu. And this is Treasure Gold Fire Opal. This is a really beautiful copper, and it's kind of a magenta-based copper. The undertone is a magenta, really pretty. These paints have been mixed 1 part paint to 2 parts Floetrol. That mixture is then thinned with water until I get the consistency that I'm looking for, which is, this is about a 2 on my consistency scale. It is making a mound, but it disappears pretty quickly. And it's making a nice thin, even stream off of my stick. If your stream is not even, if it gets thick and then thin, your consistency is inconsistent and you need to keep mixing. Before we get started, have you seen the Fluid Art inspiration cards? If you have, you can fast forward about a minute, but if you have not, what we have are 52 cards. There are 42 technique cards, and each technique card has an associated video here on YouTube that gives you the exact paint brand, color, consistency, the recipe, of course, how to do the technique, all of the things that I can't fit onto a card. This is a picture of the painting in that video. This box contains a tip for this particular technique, and here at the bottom you have the color palette that was used in this video. There are also 8 bonus color palette cards. Each one has 5 color palettes. Use all of the colors or just some of the colors. Mix and match the bonus color palette cards with the technique cards, and you have more combinations than you could ever paint in a lifetime. These are available at my website, ginadeluca.net, and also at amazon.com. Okay, the first thing I'm going to do is put a bit of my base coat / background color in my cup. And then I'm going to cover my canvas. You will notice I've already covered my edges. I do that for 2 reasons. One, this is a custom color. Trying to blend this exact color again would be a challenge. And 2, I find that the way that I mix for a straight pour, I am using Floetrol. I am mixing pretty thin, and what can happen is the edges don't have great coverage and you can see the canvas. So if I cover the edge of my canvas first, I do not have to worry about touching it up later or having to frame it because the sides aren't pretty. Even if my poured paints don't do much on the side, It is still covered, it still matches, and I don't have to spend a bunch of time with a brush trying to touch it up and make it look pretty. I like to troubleshoot before there's trouble. So the reason I lay down a base coat is I want my paints to slide around easily and evenly. If you don't lay down a base coat, what will happen is the puddle that you pour, the first thing to stick to the canvas is going to be the edge of your puddle. I have some schmutz. Take care of that as soon as you see it. It will cause issues later on. But if you don't have a base coat, the paint puddle will just roll over itself and you will lose your composition on the edges. Sometimes some very cool stuff happens there. And I use a color that is in my painting so that if I want to have negative space, I can do that. But also, if I wind up with some little air bubbles in my base coat and it comes up through the pour when I torch, it still matches. If I were using white and I had little tiny white cells popping through, that would be something I would feel like I need to fix later. Okay, going to pop these bubbles. Old Bernie 2 times, he never starts the first try. Well, not never, but 99% of the time. All right, let's put some paint in a cup. Be sure to check your consistency before pouring into your cup. The sauce may thicken upon standing. Okay, I'm going to pour from up high. I want this to sink and churn. I want these colors to blend. It is the blending of cell makers that will give you bolder cells. I already see a little bit of reaction happening in there, I think, so they may still be viable. Again, pouring from up high. And typically, the color, the cell maker that I put in last, or the color that I put in last even, a little bit of that ends up in the bottom of the cup, which means it ends up in the center of my painting. So I reserve the color with the most contrast to go in last. So that's going to be this fire opal. These colors are going to be very pretty together. And then just a bit on top so that any paints that can make cells have some paint to make cells with. There are two things that can give you cells without using silicone. That's the Rayleigh Taylor instability that is based on paint densities. And then there's a hydrophobic effect, which you get from using matte paints with glossy paints. That's what I'm hoping to achieve here today. I have some interesting things going on in the cup, so I'm hopeful. Okay, going to try very hard to stay in the center. And I'm going to spin this spinner relatively slowly. I don't want this to look like a ring pour. I want it to have more of a spiral effect. And I could feel it getting hung up on something down yonder. I do see some of that copper, hopefully. That has a nice strong presence. As I get toward the end of the cup, I get closer to the canvas. That will give me more control. Ah, here comes the copper. There's a little copper all the way through, but there will be a nice strong copper center. And I like to do 1.5 turns. I'm just sticking with that golden ratio thing. Whew, okay, 10 on the dismount. Whew. All right. I am already very happy with what's happening here. Yes, 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 yes. It's looking a little oblong. That is okay. The center is going to be the focal point. A lot of this is going to get spun off. But that center is going to really stand out. Oh, these colors together. The Malibu is not showing up very much. The Mysterious is much more prominent. Let's pop some bubbles, see if we can bring up some of that Malibu. Okay, I see this area here is looking a little thin on the base coat, so I'm going to fix that so it spins more evenly. Here too. Your corners are going to set up faster. That seems to be the place that kind of gets a skin the fastest. So whether you're doing one of these pours or something more impressionistic like one of the splashes, keeping in mind that your corners are going to set up first. So when I do a straight pour, I like to let it sit. I like to let the paint puddle percolate, let those cells develop before I stretch, because that will give me bigger cells. Simple as that. I could stretch this right away and it would still be pretty, without question. But being patient and letting the cells develop is really going to enhance the cells, the amount of cells, the size of the cells, the shape of the cells. Patience is your friend in a straight pour, 1000%. The first time I got boulder cells, it was an accident. My torch wasn't working, and I spent about 7 or 8 minutes trying to fix it, and I came back and the whole canvas was full of cells. And it was a big old canvas, and I was like, woo, woo. Well, that's fun. Okay, going to give another pop of bubbles. Alrighty. All right, I think we can give this a twirl. That copper has had a chance to expand a little bit. Man, that copper really glows against these colors. Fire opal. Very fiery. All right, let's give it a twirl. And remember, you do not have to spin fast. I cannot say that enough. Ooh, if you've ever had a painting that wasn't level, you know how much it can change overnight, very slowly over a period of time. Okay, so this is already coming over here pretty good. I want it to go more this way. So I am going to shift my canvas in that direction and try to push that corner a bit more. Kind of like being on one of the merry-go-rounds on the playground. The further out you sit on that thing, the more centrifugal force is pulling on you. Okay, I'm going to see if I can get a little more out of this cup. Because I might need it for the edges. Okay, shift in this direction a bit. Very noisy today. Something, I think there's a piece of tape down there that's catching. Okay. I'm going to take some of this paint in this cup and just kind of come over these corners a little bit. And then when I spin it, they will blend in. The corners are tough. Always. It can really help if you want to preserve what's going on in the center and don't want to spin that out too much, just adding a little bit. And then once I spin it again, it kind of blends out into each other. There's a method to my madness, usually. Sometimes I'm just a little cray for no reason. All right, let's give this a twirl. What direction is this pointing? I'm going to shift to that corner. Well, this corner is just being very stubborn. Gonna grab some of these drippings. I think maybe my sides are not as wet as they once were. Sometimes that can help quite a bit. Yeah, that's what's going on here too. Okay. All right, let's give it another twirl. I think one more might do it. Okay, that's all I'm gonna do because I don't want to lose this band. All right, I'm gonna let this sit for a bit and see what else happens. I am very happy with how this looks right now. Those colors together, oh my goodness. The blue is so calming and that fire opal is so fiery. It's a very cool, hot and cool type thing going on there. All right, back in a few. Okay, here it is. Hopefully you can see that glow. It is a beautiful color next to that mysterious. The blending of the mysterious. Some of the Malibu wound up blending with the mysterious. And I got some pop-up cells from that fire opal. Really happy with this piece. The colors together are gorgeous. When I get up close, it turns more green, but when I'm further away, it's more of the actual color that I'm seeing. But I love how mysterious the kind of cells it creates. I'm really bummed that they stopped making those paints because they made some very interesting cells. But there it is. I hope you learned something. I hope you enjoyed. If you did, please do like and share and subscribe. If you are subscribed, please be sure to click that bell so you are notified when I put up new content. I have been told a lot of people are not being notified, and that's not good. Don't want that. So please click the bell. Check out the description box below for links to my PayPal tip jar if you feel so inclined. You'll also find the link to my website where you can find my art and music and the fluid art inspiration cards. And the cards are also available at Amazon, of course. And you will also find in the description box my affiliate links and coupon codes. Save yourself some money. And anything that you purchase through those links, I receive a small commission at no additional cost to you. And you will also find a link to our Facebook group. Go make some art. Join us there, post your masterpieces, ask your questions, get some inspiration. A good time is had by most. It is the internet after all. All right, that is it for me for today. I hope y'all have a beautiful day. Now go make some art.